If you are learning German and are looking for ways to practice with natural language, this is the video for you. I'm going to tell you my top 10 favorite YouTube channels made by German speakers for German speakers. And if that sounds intimidating to you as a German learner, take a look at my other video. I will put the link here about how to learn German on YouTube, and I will break down some easy steps you can take to make these videos work for you and learn German through these natural videos. And I want to point out that I will not be talking about the German public broadcasting stations today, like Arte, ARD, CDF, Das Erste. They're very good channels. They have very good content that can be accessed in some countries. But I really want this to be about YouTube, about independent channels on YouTube. So we'll save the public broadcasting for another day. I'm going to list my favorite channels from least favorite to most favorite, but they're all very good. So don't let that deter you from watching any of them. Okay, so number one is Leeroy Wills Wissen. Now, this is a channel run by Leeroy, who is a gentleman in a wheelchair, and he goes around interviewing people with interesting lifestyles, interesting careers, other people with disabilities, just to learn about their unique way of life. And it sounds like this concept really came from his experiences as a wheelchair user. He wanted to know how other people deal with their unique circumstances, or, even celebrate life with their unique circumstances, whatever the case may be. These can be really good for practice because they're always very themed, or they usually are very themed. So you can look up vocabulary ahead of time, and that's really helpful for practicing and understanding, as I say in my practice video. Number two is Dinge erklärt, Kurzgesagt. And what I like about this one is it's describing interesting topics and explaining them to you in very briefly. And brevity is good when you're practicing. You don't want to have too much content to get through. And it's interesting topics like crypto, social issues, politics, science, and so you can look at the topic. Again, you can look at the topic, you can look up the vocabulary and get just a brief explanation that you might even already know what the explanation is, which is even better. You can just practice the language. The title itself translates to Things Explained Briefly. And there's also an English version of this channel. So I don't know if there's one to one, like an English version of each video. That would be interesting to try out. Number three is Geschichtsfenster. And this is a channel run by a historian that talks a lot about the Middle Ages. He might have other time periods in there, but I've seen a lot of his videos from the Middle Ages. And he talks about interesting topics from history, like, what were beds like in the Middle Ages? Um, what kind of silverware did people use? Did they go to the theater? They play sports. And he explains interesting topics like that. One thing I would say about his videos is sometimes they're not quite what I expected from the title, and they can tend to be really long winded. So if it's not what you expected and it's long winded, bad combination. But if you love history, this one is for you. Number four is Echter Niclas. And this is a travel channel run by Nicholas. He travels around the world and he seems to go pretty much everywhere. He was in India recently, or at least I was watching his India videos recently. And he seems to be in South America now, exploring the German speaking populations in Brazil. So he doesn't just stick to German speaking populations, he checks out pretty much everything. But I think part of the premise of his channel is that he tries to have authentic experiences in every country he goes to. So it's not like he's doing the touristy stuff. He's trying to find interesting things about each community he visits. So that's a good one for the travel enthusiasts among us. It's a little harder to look up vocabulary because the topic isn't as clear and it might be kind of wide ranging. But on the other end of that, it would also be everyday vocabulary that you're using a lot. So if you look up things there and start to learn those words, you'll start to understand it really quickly because it's just simple everyday language. Which, unlike in a science video, you're going to have a lot of academic language that you might not use otherwise. So that's helpful. Number 5 is Nessa Elessar. And this is a woman who does a lot with tiny homes and the tiny home boom or the trend in Germany. And she's gotten out of tiny homes a little bit recently. She fell ill with this illness, like chronic fatigue illness, kind of like um, long COVID. And so she's been having troubles with that, but according to her last video, she's feeling better. So maybe we'll be seeing more videos, and I wish her all the best with that. I hope she feels better soon. But her older videos are really fun with, tiny houses and other things, and they're just general everyday things. And one thing that makes her good for practice is that she speaks slowly and clearly. So it's easy to understand her words, which is not true for everyone. Number 6. Number 6 is tomatolix. I think I'm saying that right. I always debate how do I say that. And this guy goes around just trying everything. So if you've seen Michelle Carre, her channel is in English. He's kind of like a German Michelle Carre. So he'll go and like try out a new profession, like being a butler or a cashier at the grocery store. He'll do strange challenges like staying awake for 48 hours to see what happens. And he does a really good job of documenting everything. And it's just really interesting content that I enjoy a lot. I love Michelle Carre and I love tomatolix too. We're on number 7. Number 7 is myspaß.com. And this reminds me kind of Saturday Night Live in the United States because it's a collection of random comedians. So you've got like stand up, you've got a lot of stand up from different comedians, you've got little skits, and it's very amusing, very funny. Even if you don't get it, you're learning a lot about the German culture. And so if you don't get it, you can be like, oh, well, that was supposed to be funny. Maybe I should look up why it was funny. You might learn something. So I think they're hilarious. They're a lot of fun. There's even some stuff from like the 90s on there, which is a blast from the past. Number 8 is Hazel Brugger. And she is a female German comedian who does really funny skits about pop culture topics. I recently saw some skits about trad wives, I think. And she's just really funny. She pops up once in a while and, she makes you laugh. It turned off on me. So number 9 is Phil Laude. And I actually discovered him when I was Googling the term Allmann, which is a German term for a German who's doing those like stereotypical German things, and like they're being so flamboyant about it, it's really embarrassing. Kind of like Chevy Chase in the vacation movies, like National Lampoon's Vacation, but for Germany. So it's hilarious. I would recommend searching for his name with Alman. You can see all of his Alman skits, but he does skits on all kinds of pop culture things. Um, millennial problems, Gen Z problems, COVID problems, whatever you want. And he's so funny. It's interesting to watch his videos and see how, in different countries vary, but they also have the same issues sometimes. And then finally, number 10 is my all-time favorite, Plankton. And Plankton is this guy who he does little animated cartoons that he creates himself, and he also comes on sometimes and gives his opinion on things. Um, and he can speak kind of fast when he's doing his opinion pieces, so I wouldn't recommend that for a beginner. But if you watch his cartoons, they're really good for learning because they're usually like YouTube shorts and they're really amusing. And there's just a few words with the characters speaking. So you can pick those out and kind of look them up and watch it over and over again. And the little characters in his cartoons are look like the minions in Despicable Me. I think he calls them like Gurkenmenschen, like cucumber people. And he's even made up all this mythology. Oh, it cut me off. So he made up all this mythology for these Gurkenmenschen, and so they live in a country called Gurkistan, which is a play again, a play on Gurkenmenschen. And they have a cat named Muffin who's always getting into trouble and belongs to the main character whose name I don't remember. So it's really amusing. It's really fun. It's good for practicing because it's just short little blips, and you can see visually what's going on. And it's usually a dialogue, which in a lot of these videos where they're just sharing information, you don't get the dialogue. That's it's great to have that. Those are my top 10 videos. If you have videos that you want to recommend, put them in the comments below. I'm always up for trying out new content. And I'll see you in the next one. Tschüss!